I would like to call the Monday, December 12th, 2022 Blue Springs Planning Meeting into order. Please join us for the Pledge of Allegiance, which will be led today by PAC 362.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, gentlemen. Could I have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Sanderson?
Present.
Commissioner Peel?
Present.
Commissioner Morton? Commissioner Billups?
Present.
Commissioner Stokenberry?
Present.
Commissioner Graham?
Present.
Commissioner Rohr?
Present.
Chairperson Cradoff?
Present. Thank you and welcome everyone this evening and those watching from home. Tonight's agenda consists of Item 1A, the minutes of the November 28th Planning Commission meeting. Item 2, rezoning for the dwellings. Item 3, general development plan for the dwellings. Item 4, preliminary plat for the dwellings. Item 5, conditional use permit with alternative development standards for Fine Restoration LLC. Item 6, conditional use permit for Summit Behavioral Services. Item 7, PUD final plan for Villas North at Chapman Farms. Item 8, final plat for Villas North at Chapman Farms. Item 9, other business. 10, adjournment. At this time, I would entertain a motion on the consent agenda for the approval of the November 28, 2022 meeting minutes.
So moved.
I have a motion from Commissioner Peel. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second from Commissioner Rohr. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Agenda items 2, 3, and 4 have been requested to be continued to a later date. I ask for a motion for postponement at this time on agenda items 2, 3, and 4 indefinitely.
Chair,
I have a motion from Commissioner Peel.
I move that the rezoning request RZ 11228508, also general development plan GDP 11228509, also preliminary plat PP 11228507 be continued as requested by applicant.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
Sorry.
Commissioner Billups.
can I ask a question before we vote on this, please?
Certainly.
Since we're postponing this indefinitely, does this have to be reposted now? Since we're not setting it to a definite date?
Would you like to answer that for us, staff?
I can answer, Mr. Chair. Come over here. Yeah, since it's being postponed indefinitely, it essentially kills the bill. It'll have to be reposted and renoticed before we take it up here again.
Thank you.
Thank you. So I have a second from Commissioner Billups. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I will now open the public hearing for agenda item 5, conditional use permit with alternative development standards for Fine Restoration LLC. I will now ask for exhibits from our city attorney, Sarah Carnes.
The staff enters the following exhibits. Exhibit 1, staff report with attachments. Number 2, applicant plans with attachments. Number 3, affidavit of publication in the Examiner on November 26, 2022. Number 4, 180-foot notification map. Number 5, names and addresses of property owners within the 185 feet of the site. Number 6, copy of the letter sent to the said property owners. Number 7, the Title IV Land Use Section, Blue Springs Code of Ordinances by reference. Number 8, 2014 Comprehensive Plan by reference.
Thank you. All those who wish to speak, please stand to be sworn in as a group. And please state your name and address for the record. This includes staff, applicant, and the public.
Raise your right hand, please. Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give in this case will be the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Thank you. At this time, I will ask for staff's presentation. Mr. McGee.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Commissioners. Jamarcus McGee, 903 West Main Street. On behalf of the city, I've been sworn. Before you this evening is a request for a conditional use permit to allow for a building or construction contractor with machinery, equipment, or storage in general business zoning property located at 3719 Southwest 40 Highway. The property is Zone GB, which allows for building and construction contractor with the approval of a conditional use permit. On November 7, 2022, UDC amendment was approved to allow building or construction contractor land uses to be located within the general business zoning district with the approval of a conditional use permit. Staff reviewed the request for a conditional use permit under the building construction contract review criteria for those standards. Based on the review criteria for the conditional use permit, did not meet one of the criterias. According to the UDC, no front or street-facing building facade facing on arterial or collecting street shall be modified to include overhead doors for the proposed building or construction contractor land use. Overhead doors may only be located on the side or rear facades of the building. Through an alternative development standard, the applicant is requesting to waive the requirement for front and street-facing overhead doors that will allow for the facing of a collector street. Staff believes the proposed alternative development standard is sufficient because the overhead doors are set far from the Southwest 37th Street, which will remain out of sight due to existing trees. There are no other developments proposed with this project. Based on the review criteria for both the alternative development standards and the conditional use permit, staff approves with conditions. I'll be happy to answer any questions you all may have.
Thank you, Mr. McGee. Does the commission have any questions for the staff?
Chair?
Commissioner Peel.
Thank you. I'm only curious, of the 185 letters that were sent out, were any of those returned, and also were there letters of opposition?
There was no, I'm sorry.
No letters of opposition. We received 3 of those returned.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. At this time, I would like to ask the applicant, would you like to come forward and speak?
Do you have questions?
Have you been sworn in?
I have. My name is Jason Earps.
Can you state your address?
28007 Bogue Circle, Rocky Mount, Missouri 65072.
Thank you. What would you like to share with us today?
I'm just here to answer any questions if you have them about the nature of my business.
I understand. Does the commission have any questions for the applicant? Well, it looks like we don't have any questions for you.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Is there anyone else in the audience that would like to speak in favor of the project? Is there anyone in the audience that's in opposition of the project? The public comments section of the public hearing is over. Any further discussion from the staff?
No.
Any further discussion from the applicant? Any discussion from the commission? Commissioner Phillips.
I just want to make a comment. I just want to say thank you for choosing to stay in Blue Springs and not relocate to somewhere else.
Thank you. I will close the public hearing. I will now ask for a motion on the conditional use permit with alternative development standards. Commissioner Bill.
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Phillips. Okay.
I would move for approval of the conditional use permit CUP 11228521 with the 5 staff conditions.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second?
I have a second from Commissioner Rohr. This will be a roll call.
Commissioner Peel?
Aye.
Commissioner Billups?
Aye.
Commissioner Stokenberry?
Aye.
Commissioner Graham?
Aye.
Commissioner Rohr?
Aye.
Commissioner Sanderson?
Aye.
Chairperson Cradoff?
Aye, that motion carried with 5 conditions. This item will be recommended and heard by the City Council at their Monday, December 19th meeting at 6 p.m. I will now open the public hearing for Agenda Item 6, Conditional Use Permit for Summit Behavioral Services. I will ask for exhibits now from our City Attorney, Sarah Carnes.
The staff has 8 exhibits to enter to the record. Exhibits 1, staff report with attachments. 2, applicant plans with attachments. 3, affidavit of publication in the Examiner on November 26, 2022. Number 4, 180-foot notification map. 5, names and addresses of property owners within the 185 feet of site. Number 6, copy of letter sent to said property owners. 7, Title IV Land Use Section, Blue Springs Code of Ordinances by reference. 8, 2014 Comprehensive Plan by reference.
Thank you. All those who wish to speak, please stand and be sworn in as a group. Don't forget to state your name and address. This includes staff, applicant, and the public.
Raise your right hand, please. Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give in this case will be the truth, so help you God?
Thank you. At this time, I will ask for the staff's presentation. Ms. Kelly.
Thank you. Before you this evening is the request for the renewal of a conditional use permit to allow a school use at 2100 Northwest 7 Highway. Schools may operate in a GB General Business Zoning District with the approval of a conditional use permit. Summit Behavioral Services was approved for a conditional use permit in October of 2021 to allow for the school, elementary, middle, or high use at this location. Approval was granted contingent upon the completion of a parking lot expansion and additional property improvements within 12 months. The applicant states that they were unable to complete the required improvements within the time frame due to a shortage of available contractors and are requesting the renewal of the conditional use permit. Since the approval of the original conditional use permit, the property has undergone the preliminary and final platting processes, as well as obtained an approved site plan design review. This application is solely for the renewal of the conditional use permit to allow the school land use. If approved, the conditional use permit shall be valid for 12 months beginning December 19th, 2022. During this time, all public and private improvements to accommodate the use shall be completed. Improvements include, but are not limited to, a 5-foot ADA compliant sidewalk along Northwest 7 Highway, parking improvements, and landscaping improvements. If all required property improvements are completed, the conditional use permit will automatically be renewed indefinitely. If required improvements are not completed by December 19th of 2023, the conditional use permit must be renewed for another period of time to guarantee improvements will be made, or the conditional use permit may be revoked or expire. Staff reviewed the application and finds that all review criteria has been met and allows for the continuation of the operation of a school on the subject property. Staff recommends the approval of the conditional use permit with the conditions outlined in the staff report, and I will stand for any questions.
Thank you. At this time, does the commission have any questions for the staff? Would the applicant like to come forward and speak?
I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Have you been sworn in?
I have.
Could you state your name and address?
Dan Matthews at 1230 East 188th Terrace, Pleasant Hill.
Sounds like you were stand for questions at this time. Would the commission like to ask the applicant any question? Commissioner Billups.
Just one quick question. Do you think you'll be able to get these improvements done in the 12 months' time this time around?
Yes. We were ready to break ground when we found the notice that we'd missed our conditional use.
Glad to hear that. I know contractors are tough right now. Yeah. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you, Commissioner. Any other questions from the commission? Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Is there anyone else in the audience that would like to speak in favor for the project? Anyone in opposition? The public comment section of the public hearing is over. Any further discussion from staff? Any further discussion from the applicant? Any further discussion from the commissioners?
Chair,
Commissioner Bill.
I just wondered if I could ask staff about the 185-foot notification letters, whether there were any that were received back, and also any letters of opposition.
No letters of opposition, and we did not get any returned for this case.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner. I will close the public hearing. I will now ask for a motion on the conditional use permit.
Chair,
Commissioner Peel.
I move the conditional use permit CUP 11228520 for Summit Behavioral Services be approved with all conditions as supplied by staff.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second it.
Thank you, Commissioner Stokenberry. This will be a roll call.
Commissioner Billups.
Aye.
Commissioner Stokenberry.
Aye.
Commissioner Graham.
Aye.
Commissioner Rohr.
Aye.
Commissioner Sanderson.
Aye.
Commissioner Peel.
Aye.
Chairperson Cradoff.
Aye. That motion carried with 3 conditions. This item will be recommended and heard by the City Council at their Monday, December 19th meeting at 6 p.m. The next items on the agenda are items 7 and 8, PUD final plan and final plat for Villas North at Chapman Farms. At this time, I will ask for staff's presentation from Ms. Bright.
The last items on the agenda this evening are requests for approval of a planned unit development final plan and a final plat. The development includes 19 single-family homes, each on their own lot, and 2 open space tracts. The project is located south of the intersection of Southwest Mason School Road and Southwest 2nd Street, is zoned SF7 PUD RO, and includes approximately 3.84 acres. Currently, the site is undeveloped aside from the infrastructure that has been installed for the development. The project was approved for some modifications through their PUD concept plan, which includes decreasing the minimum lot width from 65 feet minimum to 55 feet minimum, decreasing the minimum lot size from 7,200 square feet to 4,844 square feet, and reducing the landscape buffer on the west from 25 feet minimum to 10 feet. The PUD final plan complies with all previously approved modifications and the PUD concept plan. The site encompasses approximately 16.9% open space, which exceeds the minimum 15% per the original Chapman Farms PUD concept plan. All required plant units have been met in the open space tracts. The buffer on the west is being shown in a landscape easement along the back of lots 10 through 19 due to the location of a sanitary sewer force main through the open space tract. The property owners who have the landscape easement in their yard will be responsible for maintaining the landscaping once it is installed and ensuring the required buffer remains. The applicant will be providing a financial guarantee before recording the final plat for the landscaping in the open space tracts, which was a condition of approval for the PUD concept plan. The houses will include a mix of farmhouse, craftsmen, and modern designs. All elevations shown include 2-car garages, which meets the required parking of 2 spaces per dwelling unit. Final elevations have not yet been determined, so the ones shown tonight are indicative of what will be built. The applicant is aware of the architectural design standards and agrees to comply. All homes will have a minimum livable floor area of 1,400 square feet, which matches the villas at Chapman Farms immediately adjacent to the south. Each lot will need to be landscaped and meet the minimum 45 plant unit requirement prior to the issuance of a certificate of occupancy for that lot. Signage was not shown at this phase, but if the applicant wishes to install monument signs at a later date, they must obtain a sign permit and comply with the sign code. The final plat is in substantial compliance with the previously approved preliminary plat and encompasses the entire 3.84 acres. Staff reviewed the applications and finds that all review criteria, except for the previously approved deviations, have been met. Staff recommends approval of the PUD final plan with 4 conditions and approval of the final plat with 5 conditions, and I'm here for any questions.
Thank you. Are there any questions from the commission for the staff, from the staff?
Chair?
Commissioner Peel.
Adair, could you explain to me what cementuous panel is, or cementuous, they were tilted, like a tilt-up wall?
I believe the applicant might be able to further explain that, but my understanding is that it's a building material that goes on the exterior. We often substitute that for masonry, just because it is kind of along the same lines.
Okay, so I'll ask the applicant, because I was kind of wondering whether it was texturized or, what was that kind of material.
Yeah.
But thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner. Would the applicant like to come forward and speak? Have you been sworn in?
Yes.
Could you please state your name and address?
John Broker, 27300 East Pink Hill Road, Independence, Missouri.
Thank you.
To his question on the materials, it's just a siding product that has cement in it. It can be a textured lap siding, it can be a full 4x8 panel. There's multiple uses for it.
Okay,
Four
so it
styles.
may not...
It's not a tilt-up wall.
Could it be, so it could be just a tilt-up wall with a smooth surface, or just a cement wall with smooth?
No, it's, it's a manufactured siding
Okay.
that you'd put on.
Okay, alrighty, thank you.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner. Are there any other questions for the applicant? Thank you very much. Any further discussion from the commissioners? I will now ask for a motion on PUD final plan.
Chair?
Commissioners?
Either way. Yeah, I can
Commissioner
make a motion.
Sanders.
Yeah, sure. So I'll make a motion for PUD final plan PUDF 11228517 with the 4 staff conditions to be approved.
I have a motion from Commissioner Sanders. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion from Commissioner Peel. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carried with 4 staff conditions. I will now ask for a motion on the final plat.
Chair?
I have a motion from Commissioner Sanders.
Yep, so I'm going to move to approve final plat PF 11228518 for Villas North at Chapman Farms with the 5 staff conditions.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second?
I have a second from Commissioner Peel. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion also carried with 5 staff conditions. Other business. The next Planning Commission is scheduled for Tuesday, December 27th, 2022. Ms. Elbert will present the November 22nd Community Development Report.
Good evening. I'm here to present the November 2022 Community Development Department report. So I'm going to go through some of these categories here, and then I will stand for questions at the end. So the first table talks about building permit activity. As you can see, the top part talks about total dwelling units, and we are down 1 unit from last November, but we are up almost double from year to date from last year in 2021. For total building permits, from last November, we are down, and then we're also down year to date for total building permits. In the building permit related activity, we are down on total square footage, but we are up year to date square footage from 2021. Total inspections are down year to date from last year as well as from last November of 2021. Total construction is down, but it's up year to date for the total construction costs. And then we have on the next page here a table kind of describing that information. The next chart talks about code enforcement activity. So as you can see, the majority of the cases that have been opened this month are public health, safety, and welfare. There have been 76 total cases that have been opened for code enforcement in November. Those are also shown on this table on the next page. The next table talks about the most common code cases in November, and the majority are business license required, but that's followed not very far behind with nuisance and then erosion and sediment control cases. The next table talks about planning activity in November. As you can see, the first couple are about UDC text amendments that we handled on November 7th. There was a conditional use permit for Gerber in Blue Springs, preliminary and PD final plan for Willow Creek Estate, alternative sign plan for South 7 Plaza. The dwellings, those were all continued from last month. Under planning activity administrative appeals, we had a minor subdivision for the Coffee Conveyance Plat as well as the Blue Springs Reserve, and those were both approved in November. And then the last table here talks about sign permit activity, and as you can see from last November, we are up on the sign permits, just one, and then for year to date, we're up a little bit more from last 2021, and I will stand for any questions.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Does the staff have any other business?
We do not.
Thank you. Does the commissioner have any other business? Thank you. I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
I have a motion from Commissioner Peel. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second from Commissioner Stokenberg. This meeting is adjourned. Good night.